Hey folks, how's it going? Welcome back. Another one so soon. And yeah, this one's going to be, I guess, slightly different because I'm going to be talking about something that's kind of been on my mind a bit recently. And that's etiquette for gigs, like for band members. Because recently I've been to shows and there have been some folk who you would think know better that have really sort of committed some horrible party fouls. And I don't know, I thought maybe do a video talking about what I consider to be good gig etiquette. Maybe get a conversation in the comments below about what you guys consider to be things that you should and maybe shouldn't do as a musician playing a show. Especially on kind of the small pub and club scene where, let's be honest, all of us are. There's nobody bigger than us watching this. So yeah. Let's get to it. Number one, be on time. I know that seems self-explanatory, but any promoter, any venue worth their salt are going to have a rough idea of how the evening's supposed to go, and when they can open, when they want bands to be sound checking, if you're playing support for a bigger band. I've done support for a few guys that have been on European tours, and they have a specific, like, okay, we will be at the venue at this time, we will be sound checking from then to then, and then getting some food and some rest. So that is when the support bands are allowed to come in and do their sound check. And usually it goes like, main tour support, local support, lower down local support. And yeah, even through to like pub shows, they will have a rough idea of when they want the bands to be there to sound check, to get ready. They'll have got the sound engineer there and you get the idea, you know who's going to be there. But yeah, the number of folks that like just rock up whenever. You've agreed to be there on a certain time. Now, I know that things can happen, like if you're coming a long way and there's been a crash on the motorway and it's delayed you. We've all got mobile phones now, we can drop a message, say really sorry guys, we're going to be late. But letting folk know that you're going to be late means that we're not kicking around thinking, shall we get the other band's sound check before you? It's not just that, it's like setting up your merch, talking to the sound guy, giving them an idea of what you want, talking to the promoter and the other bands, being part of the scene. If you say you're going to be there at a certain time, just do your best to be there. Obviously, you're not always going to make it, but you should at least aim to do it 99 times out of 100. And if you're not going to make it, at least let someone know. Okay, so moving on to point two, it's actually kind of related to point one in the sense that it's about time, but respect your changeover and set times. You've been given 20 minutes to change over. Get yourself off that stage when you finished your set. We all like to pack everything up nice and neatly and get our kit stowed away. That's understandable. However, it's possible to put everything in a big in your gig bag, take it backstage and then sort it out. It's easy to put your pedals in the back of your combo amp, drag them all off stage and then sort them out later. If you've got a 10-minute changeover and there's another band wants to get on, set their drum kit up, get their heads on the amps, they're not going to want to stand around waiting for you to neatly coil everything up, have a chat with the people that were at the front of the audience, stand around with your thumb up your ass doing whatever when they're holding their head and they want to get it on the cabs, or when they want to set their drum kit up. Have some respect for, you've got this amount of time to get changed over. That means you get off and the other band gets on, does maybe a line check to make sure everything's still all right, and then gets ready to play. And going on from that, treat your set time as law. Okay? You get 30 minutes, that's great. Don't say, well, we can go on for 45. You can't. That cuts into the breakdown and setup time for the next band, and then that so on and so forth. And when venues like pubs, clubs, whatever, have hard deadlines, hard curfews, you're not going to be able to shift the show an extra 20 minutes, because things will always run late. That's the nature of the beast. But that's built into the timings that the venue and the promoter have worked out. If you're there taking an extra 15 minutes on your set, then you're a dick. Respect your stage times and respect the venue enough to, and the other bands, respect them enough. You know, you don't want the last act to be thinking, oh yeah, I remember them. They're the arseholes that caused us to cut our set short a couple of weeks ago. Not working with them again. Which brings us to point 3. Respect. More importantly, respecting the kit that's at the venue. Sometimes there will be equipment that isn't yours on the stage, you know? Treat it with the respect you would treat your own equipment. And I know that sounds stupid, but I've had to have words with people like, hi, I know you're playing, but my amplifier is not somewhere for you to store your pint. People's equipment is not somewhere for you to just rest your fucking water bottles and pint pots and stand on and climb over. You know, treat other people's equipment with respect. Treat the house equipment with respect. And again, shouldn't need to be saying this. This should be obvious, but these are things that I've noticed people doing of late that they shouldn't be doing. You know, yeah, so don't rest your pint pots on other people's amps. Don't tread on other people's pedal boards. Watch where you're putting your feet. Don't decide that, oh, well, I can't be asked to plug my my power supply in. I'll just nick the one off of theirs. Yeah, just have some respect. And more importantly, if you're borrowing equipment, you treat that like the Holy Grail. Nothing goes wrong with that. Firstly, you don't want to mess up someone else's equipment. You just don't. I hope you understand why. Bands can't gig without their gear. You break their gear, you stop them being able to play. Venues can't have bands on if their equipment gets broken. So yeah, that's basically it for that point. Now we get on to point 4, which is something that can be levelled at both musicians and audience members, and that is shut up. Like, shut up. People are here to watch bands. Okay? If you wanted people to be quiet, watch your show, and enjoy what you were doing, have that same respect for the other bands on the bill. Okay? Don't be stood around with your bandmates, your folks that have come to see you, whatever, and be chatting away at the back of the show whilst other people are trying to enjoy the gig. You know, have that same respect for them as you would expect to have them to have for you, and just shut up. Yeah, okay? People have come to the show to watch the show, not to listen to you. This is something that is a bugbear at lots of gigs, but I feel it's much more egregious when it's fellow musicians that do this. And I mean, I've been guilty of it before, and I've caught myself and gone, I'm such a dickhead. Yeah, you get the idea. Just, if you want to talk, take it elsewhere. And on to the final point. Support the scene. It's a slogan that we hear all the time, and I think it's worth remembering that it's the sort of thing that needs to be more than a slogan for a lot of us. You know, no band or performer is an island. We have a scene. Whether that's folk, indie, electronic, metal, whatever, or even the more the larger UK or wherever you're from scene, we don't exist in isolation. We don't exist in a vacuum. And if we treat it as though there is no one but us, then we start to really suffer. And it's kind of nebulous, you know, how do you support the scene? Well, and it is difficult, but it's things like support the other bands, okay? If you're at a multi-band show, don't just bugger off after your set. I mean, yeah, I've played with groups that have been like, or played gigs where there have been bands that have been like, you know, okay, we're in Bristol and we've got to be up for work tomorrow morning in Manchester. Okay, that's cool. There's always going to be exceptions. But if you've got people that are like, well, it's Saturday tomorrow and I don't have to be up and I live 10 minutes down the road, but I'm still not sticking around. Come on. That's just, no. Support the other people at the show, okay? And if you expect people to come out to your shows, go out to theirs as well. The cynic would say it's good for networking and getting recognised, but the reality is that venues will only put on gigs if they think it's worthwhile. And the only metric that is used for whether it's worthwhile these days, because we do live in tight financial times, I understand that, but the metrics that tend to be used are, will we turn a profit? Will we break even? Yeah? If you've got a venue that's a great venue, shout them out. You know, things as simple as an Instagram post at the end of the gig. You know, letting people know whether you had a good time. Letting people know it's a great venue. Bigging up your friends. Bigging up people that aren't your friends that you really enjoy. Treating the scene as there's us and then just some others is one of the biggest breaches of etiquette I think you can make, because you're putting yourself so much higher than others. And if you're not going to stick around to at least watch some of the other bands, or you're not going to bother buying drinks in the venue, and I don't just mean getting drunk, but if you're going to rock up to a venue and be like, okay, we're going to play there, but we're all just going to be necking cider in the van, or we're going to go to the pub next door, what you doing? You need to support them as much as they support you. For me, that's the biggest thing. Stick around to watch your other bands. Be an active part of working with other groups, other performers. Not only, like I said, from the cynical side of it, you make good contacts, but you'll also make great friends. You'll also find musical opportunities to work with other people, to just have fun, and you'll watch some fantastic music, and that's what we do this for. It's for the music. And that's pretty much it. The 5 that I came up with just before I started this video. Maybe leave some comments below about what your views of sort of your top views of gig etiquette is. Gig etiquette are? Yeah, let me know what you think is good gig etiquette for musicians, and maybe I'll do a second one of these. Maybe I'll do one that's good gig etiquette for audience members as well. But yeah, cool beans. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, there's a thumbie button for that. If you haven't, then I guess there's also a thumbie button for that. If you want to buy me a coffee, then there's a link for that. Like, share, subscribe, shout, throw your phone across the room. Any engagement helps, I guess. Yeah, I'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Oh, and just before I go, one other thing. If the venue's really, really nice and actually has a backstage area for you and stuff, always flush the toilet. Nobody wants to see that huge turd in that you've left. Well, maybe they do. Photograph it, put it on Instagram, and then flush it.